So let's move on to our next film. This is Together. So Dave Franco and Alison Brie star as Tim and Millie, who basically move into their apartment in the city where she accepts a teaching job in the countryside. This is written and directed by Michael Shanks, and this is a debut feature film from him, I have to add. So Tim seems rather lost. He doesn't really know what he wants to do, and he's basically this aspiring musician who finds himself suddenly dependent on Millie as her career appears to be taking off. She appears to be doing better than him. One day, the two take a hike near their new home when Tim suddenly falls down a mysterious cave. The same one we actually see at the start of the film in a flashback, in which something supernatural might be taking place. So they're both low on water, and he gives Millie their only bottle and decides to instead drink from a pool that's in the cave, right? And anyone with half a brain...
never drink from the pool.
Yeah,
no.
who's seen any horror film ever knows when a character eats or drinks something mysterious, it's not going to end well, is it? So Tim begins to exhibit strange behaviour and symptoms and finds himself completely and compulsively drawn to Millie. But more importantly, a bizarre inability to be physically separated from her, even during sex. And they slowly start to lose their minds. Basically must figure out a way to prevent this curse before it's too late. Take a listen.
I opened the door. She was smiling at me. Her brain just snaps. I think something's happening to us. The pull, the thirst in your bones. I can't explain it, but we're sick. Bill? God, you do it!
I think you should sleep in the spare room tonight.
I agree. We need to keep our distance.
Yeah, so we have been eating good with horror this year, to say the least, because...
So much horror this year.
So much horror this year, and obviously Weapons and Bring It Back are currently playing, but you can now add Together to that list. This is a delicious and bone-crackling piece of horror right here. What seems to be rather lacking in the genre, except for last year's... Did you see The Substance last year?
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. So, except for The Substance last year, we have another lovely slice of like body horror for us to sink our teeth into, and it seems that the slasher supernatural kind of genre is the go-to at the minute. But we are returned to this arena once again by Michael Shanks, whose first feature I think is somehow even better than The Substance. This is his first film. I think this is better. Not only have we not seen many body flicks as of recent, but getting a real-life couple to star in it is genius. And the first time we've really... I mean, couples have been in films in the past, Emily Blunt and John Krasinski in A Quiet Place, but this means the film works so much better because of it, and this is the first time in which a couple have starred in a film of this calibre in this kind of nature.
I think as well you don't have to like build up a chemistry, because it's
that's
just like
you've already got that
chemistry.
Exactly. And there have been times in the past where horror films have been released on Valentine's Day as well, for couples to go along and enjoy and have a good time, because horror films are the best romantic films. People forget that horror films, slasher films are better than rom-coms for couples to go and see, because it's the idea of, oh yeah, let's go see a horror film together, we'll both be scared at the same time, we can kind of fall into each other's arms, that kind of thing. But in a surreal sense, I think Together would have been strangely perfect for a Valentine's Day film instead of being released now. This is a bonkers love story about the literal need to be attached to one another at all times. I mean, it's literally the essence of love. And who better to cast than actors who are actually married to each other in real life? It's really genius and it's so clever. I mean, Michael Shanks does play around with the body horror genre in a way which I've never seen before, often with really humorous results of second-hand embarrassment, right? And the film is able to capture the appropriate level of like lust and of desire that the story requires, I think, excellently, which again reinforces having James Franco and Alison Brie in this, which is so smart. And now, without wishing to go into too much detail, there is a moment at which you can tell Together does want to have fun and enjoy itself. And there is a sex scene between Tim and Millie, which is both cringeworthy, but also intriguingly creative in what it does. And I'm not going to go into what it does, but the more it unfolds and things begin to go wrong in this moment, in this situation, I realise how far the film is willing to go and how far it does push things and how it's not messing around in the slightest. And despite the fact that the context of this moment and the environment for which it takes place and doesn't quite work, because I get the reason behind it, but where this moment takes place and why they do it, you go, okay, a different environment or setting would have made more sense. But again, it's all about the lust, the desire to be with one another, the fact that basically this takes place in a school bathroom where Millie is teaching, and Tim bursts into school and basically starts having sex with her. And I get that it's all about the lust and the desire to be with each other, but maybe picking a different setting would have maybe proved better. But the fact that he can't help himself, the fact that he has to be with her at all times, no matter where they are, is the whole point of it. But I couldn't help but admire the fact that it went down this avenue and the fact that it doesn't seem to be short on ideas. You know, it knows what it wants to do. It knows how to cringe you, repulse you, and shock you, basically. And this is just one of many moments which you do wince at what's going on. And it's safe to say that the film did get under my skin, pun very much intended though. But in the great sort of pantheon of body horror history, this has one of the best understandings of how to do body horror I've ever seen, which is made even more impressive by the fact that this is a debut film. You know, Michael Shanks makes it appear as though he's had decades worth of experience in horror. Like I said for Zach Cregger for Barbarian and for Weapons, you know, these are guys who look like they've been doing horror their whole life and career, which is really impressive. But where Together is elevated above the rest for me, though, with body horror, is that it is a superbly crunchy film, and it contorts itself in every way imaginable and gives us set pieces that do feel refreshingly new, but also enjoyably crazy and creative at the same time. I mean, the bones crunch, things kind of fold into themselves, and it really does know how to kind of get to you.
Yeah, get that kind of shock factor and
Exactly.
that like, emotional response.
Exactly, and it has its fair share of practical effects, but also CGI as well. And I do confess, I was genuinely more impressed by the CGI when it came to it, as not only does it prove to be more reliant on that, but it managed to look pretty good. So yes, the physical stuff looks good, but the CG does look really good. Obviously, practical effects, animatronics, these are stuff you should do in horror. They do look better.
Yeah, it's weird. It's kind of out of like peculiar that you say that, because usually you'd say the same thing with practical effects and CGI usually kind of cheapen the image. But it's interesting that they've kind of like swapped that on their own.
Yeah, and it looks convincing here, unlike some others that doesn't look as convincing, basically. But not only does it thankfully deliver on that front, but it proved to be jumpier than I expected, with one particularly well done sequence which caused half the audience in my screen to jump out their seats, which was great to see. And it goes without saying that Franco and Bree's chemistry works to an absolute treat and demonstrates how well couples can work together with each other on screen. I mean, again, look at John Krasinski and Emily Blunt in A Quiet Place, and I still say, I still think they should have been Mr. Fantastic and Sue Storm in Fantastic Four.
That would have been interesting,
I'm
wouldn't
still
it, casting-wise?
I'm still disappointed that we never saw that, and obviously Krasinski was Mr. Fantastic in Doctor Strange. I'm disappointed that never materialized.
Yeah,
really. But yeah, I mean, in another universe, in another world, that would have been.
I think when he first appeared, obviously, spoilers, anyone's seen it, he kind of meets that version of Miss Fantastic meets an unfortunate end.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people thought that would be like you know, multiverse, he'll come back, and they were like, no
way near. But when you have a film and a plot that's about love and family, even if it is a horror film, I'm surprised other films haven't taken this initiative of making real life couples work together in films. I mean, yes, there's been times in the past, but nowhere near as much as you might think. And the end result is just so much better. But Together is a great idea on paper, and thankfully the film proves to be just that on screen. It's entertainingly ridiculous fun, and if you're a fan of Cronenberg, obviously David Cronenberg, the king of body horror, and this, I think Cronenberg would be proud of this. He would look at this and go, yeah, I give that my thumbs up. And it's a 4-star film for me. It's solid horror stuff, and if you're a horror fan, obviously with Bring Her Back and Weapons now, if you do like a triple bill of Together, Bring Her Back and Weapons, and that'll be awesome. A really good kind of horror offerings at the cinema at the moment, which is good stuff.